This is the meeting of the Reading Municipal Light Department, RMLD. Board of Commissioners is being videotaped at RMLD's office at 230 Ash Street, Reading, Massachusetts, for distribution to the community television stations in Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, and Lynnfield. The RMLD Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of hearing public comment at the discretion of the chair on items on the official agenda as well as items not on the official agenda. We ask that all questions or comments from the public be directed to the chair and that all parties, including members of the RMLD board, act in a professional and courteous manner when addressing the board or responding to comments. Once recognized by the chair, all persons addressing the board shall state their name and address prior to speaking. It's the role of the chair to maintain order in all public comment or ensuing discussion. All right, good evening, everybody. Introductions. We have the Citizens Advisory Board Chair in attendance. Welcome, George.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we also have Phil Pacino offering to be Secretary this evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil. And public comment. It looks like a lot of people are on vacation. We got a light crowd tonight.
Oh, light, I get it.
Oh, that's good.
No pun intended.
There was no pun intended. That's great. Very good. Very good, Tom. All right, so we're going to approve some minutes. Anybody want to make a motion here on this?
I'll move that the board approve the January minutes of May 8th, 2018, and May 18th, 2019, the recommendation of the general manager.
Second?
Second?
All right, discussion. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0-0. The July CAB meeting was canceled, so now we have the report of the chairman, and what we have today is we're just going to talk about the status of the payment of the town subcommittee, and I think without John Stempeck here, we're going to delay that discussion until September. Any other comments? Anybody?
No, he's on the subcommittee, right?
Yep, so we'll wait till he's here. All righty. Moving right along to the general manager's report. Okay. Colleen.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. We're moving right along with the policies. What I'm expecting to happen is I'm going to push through a few today, then at the next meeting, and then we should be wrapping it up. And
we'll be done for the year, you think?
No, we'll be done.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before I start on the policies that I want to get some approval for, because when we started, the policies were 20, 30 years old, and they hadn't been updated, for a lot of things, legal, et cetera. I put a revision date in the top of 3 years. So when the 3 years comes up, if nothing has changed, there's no revision that needs to be done, there's no change in the law or anything like that, would it be okay if I just re-sign them and we push it another 3 years, or you don't want to go through a formal process of me just bringing them in saying there's no change, right?
No, I don't think. I can't think of a reason. Tom?
Yeah, so, first another question. So, I was just curious with your document management. So, when the 3 years comes up, do you have like a SharePoint site? Do you get notified? Is there some notification process that you have, or is it just someone having them?
Just Tracy.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if there isn't the process.
A prompt.
What we use in our company is that there's a prompt basically that when it gets to that certain date, manager gets or there's some notification process. I forget exactly.
Well, we only have like 30 of them, so we know that they're coming up. I just would like to know what you'd like me to do with them. Like we already have some coming up, and there's obviously no change. Yeah. We've taken a look at them. Yeah. How would you like to proceed? Do you want to re-vote on them and just vote on them that there's no change, and we'll go another 3 years? If that's okay, I can just add it to every agenda, and there might be 2 or 3 of them that we do at a time, and we just keep moving.
Yeah. Phil, you have a comment.
My comment was going to be, although that sounds fine, that it would be good to have some visibility, only because it may trigger in someone's mind, okay, that policy's due. I want to make sure that gets included. Maybe it's something to do with a legislative kind of policy to do with benefits or something. I
Right.
can't think of a good example, but so I do think rather than just having it dormant, since we've done such a good job of cleaning them up, that I like your idea, just have it appear as either approval or just it's a notification on the agenda following policies are rolling over, and we.
Right, because one of them might be a subject matter that somebody might want to make
that's
a
really
comment
the-
about.
yeah.
Right,
All right,
yeah.
then I'll just send them to you, and if there's no comment, we'll put it on the agenda that they're just being.
There's no
Yeah.
change
Another
recommended.
3 years of being added,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean? Because obviously, we can pull them and change them at any
Yeah, yeah.
time. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait until
Yeah.
then. Okay.
Yeah.
Phil,
Well,
you had a
my-
comment too.
My
here.
thought is they actually should be on the agenda,
Okay.
okay? And, even if we don't, we just, say there's no change, we should prove it in the agenda. Because
Yes.
first of all, it's very nice to think that we're all going to be here forever, for 32 years.
Well, you've set that precedent.
Yes. But, and the board, members change.
Right,
Members change over time, and you may not even know what those policies are,
right.
because you were not around when they came into being. So it really should be put on the agenda, and even if we just
With
take
the
a-
recommendation of no change.
with the
Yeah.
recommendation of no
Yeah.
change, and then maybe
Yeah.
somebody sees something and says, oh, gee,
Could we
that's
look
nice.
into that one? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right, so the ones that we are presenting tonight, the first one is policy number 2, surplus materials. Now, that was actually the last one, well, the one before was in '04, and then when I came, we redid it in May of 2015. The next review date was May of 18. We made that change, and it's back again because currently we have 30 days in which it goes to the town, or all 4 towns that it circulates through. And if they don't want the item, it still stays for 30 days. And then after that, it goes to the newspaper for 30 days. So we're holding on to surplus materials for 60 days, which is just way too long. So there's a recommendation by staff in order
Up here
to.
for a minute. My thing is showing, I got the June 21st of 2018 agenda here on my, being a dinosaur, I have no idea how to change it. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, that's,
You want to just give him mine?
I was wondering why it didn't match up.
Policies are in front of you on, in paper.
Yeah,
They're not
they're right here.
actually on here.
Okay,
there you go.
all right,
There's both of them right there.
okay. Please get me up to date, though.
All right, so you can continue,
For
yeah.
the towns, staff is recommending that, because we've been going through this process now for several years, and to move the surplus along a little quicker, the town to purchase from 30 days to 10 days, and shorten the advertisements from 30 days to 2
Very good.
weeks.
Thank you.
This will take our 60 days to sell each and every bit of surplus that we have. Will now take 24 days instead of 60.
That seems reasonable, Tom?
Yeah, Colleen, I just had a question. So on the rotation for the vehicles, there's a note of the rotational sequence. I guess my question is to make sure I understand it right. So is the intention that the towns would rotate starting with Reading, but they all would get, sounds like they all get notified,
Yes.
and they all actually can bid, but I'm just trying to. if
You
it's-
ask each one at a time, and it
Oh,
goes
okay,
around, and
so
then the
it's
next
done
time it starts
sequentially,
here,
so.
and then the next time
So
it
if
starts
Reading
here.
accepts it, it never goes beyond.
Correct,
Okay.
right, but you still have to keep it, you don't send it to advertise, if no one wants it, you can't just get an answer from all 4 and then just put it in the newspaper, you still have to wait the 30 days.
Yeah, but so
The
do
way
you,
it's written.
so when you do Reading, how long do you have to give Reading? Just,
So we're gonna give 10 days, and then, but
Then-
you go to each one to ask first, they get requested first.
yeah, but, so is it done sequentially, literally, so in other words, Reading has 10 days to decide, then you have to go to, North Reading?
No,
10.
it's gonna be 10 days, right?
That's why if it's done that way, then they all must, I was trying to figure out how you, if you doing it sequentially, but if you do it sequentially, you'd have to wait 10 days for each one, right?
So it should be 40 days.
Or you,
No, you're sending it out, but then this town has the first dibs. And then if they don't want it, then the second town has the dibs.
But each town has 10
You
days?
sent it out, no, we're changing it to send it out for 10 days.
Oh, everybody gets the notice at the same time?
Right.
Okay.
Everyone gets the notice, and then if you're up first, I say, do you want it? No. Do you want it? No. Do you want it? Do you want it?
And it rotates each month to a different town? Goes first?
Not each month, each time
Each time.
the next
Yeah.
item.
Each item.
But because of the way you're doing it, what if Reading says on the 9th day, they don't, I'm just wondering how the process would actually work, because everyone's got it, right?
Everybody gets notice at the same
Reading,
time.
Yeah, everybody's got 10 days, but everybody says, yes, this one gets it first, because you're rotating.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm really saying.
Oh, so all four say yes, that town that's going first that month gets it?
Right.
They all have 10
Yeah,
days.
so that
It's whoever says first, yes, no. I know what you're saying. Okay.
Right.
No, but I'm just saying, normally you'd ask Reading first, because they have first dibs, right? But what you're really doing is asking all towns, but the reality is if Reading wants it, the other towns, even if they respond, don't get it.
It's,
Right.
trying to
You know
find a
what I'm saying.
paragraph.
I know what you're saying.
It's rotation.
So, yeah.
I mean,
So
I think the way you want to do it is fine, it's just a town may decide all I'm sort of thinking of is the non-value added activity is Wilmington could spend a lot of time asking about it, only to find out that Reading, who has first dibs, is going to take it, you know what I mean? On how you eliminate that.
Well, if the towns will have 10 business days, not each,
Yeah,
10 business days from the date of RMLD's notice to submit a notice of intent to purchase. But the rotation is Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, and
yeah.
Bloomfield.
For what I'm saying, so Wilmington, who isn't first up, likes it, they put it through the process, they submit everything, they've done all that work, and meanwhile, Reading has decided they want it, they have first dibs, right?
If more than one town provides RMLD with a notice of intent to purchase at the property at the same time, preference will be given based on the rotation
Yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
Okay, so that's exactly that's the way it's done.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there is a
You-
non-value added aspect of it, right, if you're Wilmington, right, because you go through all.
And you might find out that you're not going to get it.
Well, you already know you might not get it, because Reading has got first dibs.
Right.
Doesn't it keeps rotating, though.
Yeah,
It keeps rotating.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what
It
you're
keeps
saying.
rotating, so
We
if-
send it out to all four towns, all four could say they want it, and then only one town's going to find out they actually got it.
Yeah, but
Right.
but when you're missing, I think, is, it's not just saying, yeah, I want it. I assume on some of the stuff, you have to talk to purchasing, you have to talk to the people in maintenance. Do you want this truck? Do you want this?
Right. They're doing
And
some
they-
evaluation,
They're doing
doing
some
some
work,
work.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
go, oh, yeah, that would be, even
Yeah.
to the point, oh, that'd be great, yeah.
Right.
Well, guess what?
Maybe they had a meeting,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple meetings.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand what you're trying to accomplish. I just want to make sure I understood it, so maybe in
How
practice.
often does this stuff happen?
When
Really.
we circulate vehicles,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
just like once a
maybe
year?
one a year, or
Yeah,
one every
I'm
other
fine.
year
I
or
just
something.
really, I wanted
Every
to-
community does it, we do except we don't go through every town. I mean,
Right.
once a year, we do the same thing with our surplus,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, George.
I know
right?
exactly what you're saying,
You
yeah.
could go, few towns could go through that process, knowing that at the end they,
But it doesn't sound like that's happening in practicality.
No, I saw the last list that went through, we didn't want anything in particular, so.
So it's more,
also-
it sounds like it's more likely nobody says yes. That's more likely, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you put something out, a surplus, it's more likely that no town wants it? That's usually what happens?
Sometimes they want things, but,
It's kind of
if it
spotty.
works, fine.
It sounds like it's
Usually
working.
at the end of life anyways, for
Right.
the
Yeah,
equipment.
if a town, for example, their forestry is in the need of a bucket truck, and the one that we're getting rid of is in fairly good shape, they might want to take it, but
Yeah.
a lot of times they're pretty outfitted themselves.
So there's not four towns fighting over stuff, it sounds like?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm good with this. How's everybody else with this?
No problem.
All right. We have a motion on this one?
We doing all of them at once or one at a time?
I would
There's
do
only
one
two.
at a time,
Yeah.
just 'cause,
Okay. Move that the changes to policy number 2, surplus, be accepted on the recommendation of the general manager.
Second. All right.
No discussion for me?
Okay, no discussion. All those in favor? All right, 4-0. To zip. And the next one, Colleen?
Okay, the next one is the, it was called originally unique, what's it called originally? Unique employee situation, but really what it was is the use of voluntary sick banks. The RMLD has always employed this thing where if under circumstances that are unique and didn't really clarify what that was, if the general manager said it was okay, other employees could donate in sick time. So when we rewrote this, we clarified that it had to be a serious illness, and it's only for the employee. So essentially, that's what the change is. It's to clarify what the unique situation was, and that it was clearly a sick bank.
Yep.
Yeah,
Question,
so
Tom?
I guess I know informally in the past people have done this. I guess, Mike, has this been used often?
Not often. I think I've implemented it maybe twice since I've been here in 5 years. For people who have been seriously ill, that, and it goes through here. You have to be in good standing, you can't have been abusing your sick time. I mean, there's a lot of criteria that you have to meet, and then it has to be approved by me if I want to allow people to pitch in. And then the time is prorated as well. So obviously, a day of my time would give that person more time off than maybe a subordinate's time.
Yeah, I mean, I know the intention. It just seemed to me like kind of an unusual administrative burden, given that what I'm really worried about is, this new pending legislation having to do with this type of benefit, and I don't know if RMLD is going to be, as far as paid leave.
Right.
And so I don't know. I mean, I
Mr.
guess.
Chair, that's in the private sector right now. I don't know about it moving.
Yeah, I was just curious.
This policy, the way you have it written now, is pretty standard, and
it?
that's what we do in my department also.
I just cleaned it up and clarified it, because
Yeah, no,
again, before
as
it
a-
was called unique situation, so it didn't specify, and so
Right.
I'm specifying that it's for a serious illness.
You took out the other, I noticed you took out the language that's usually found in other leaves of absence, like in terms of caring for a relative.
Yeah, we
or something.
didn't, those are the types of administrative nightmares that we really don't want to handle. So this is
Yeah.
for an employee in a good standing, and it's been implemented here, like I said, 2 times in 5 years. Jane's been here a lot longer, probably
Yeah.
just a handful of times, yeah. So it's not done on
And it's
Not
approved
done.
by the general manager, and I'm
Yes.
sure you do a side letter because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't know enough about the public sector workings, but this type of benefit's getting a lot, the state is in the process of approving it.
well, if the state changes it, like sick buyback and things like that, then, we'll just redo the policies.
Because we have to adhere to
Just
it.
because we will.
Right.
So-
Okay.
Okay.
So for right now, it's a practice that's being used, but I felt like it needed some clarification.
Yeah, no, I think the change is fine.
All right. Phil?
All right, move. Let me get my agenda ready. I got it. Move that the board approve the changes to policy number 14, voluntary use of sick pay as recommended in the recommendation of the general manager.
All right. Second?
Second?
All right. Discussion? All those in favor? Dave, you going to vote for us here, too? All right, 4-0. And thanks for your comments, George, on that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, are we going to, do you have anything else, Colleen?
Which one?
There are some other dissolved policies. Do we, and we have,
ones that
well,
we
yeah, we have
just
sustainability.
Oh, right,
and-
okay.
The sustainable one.
So
You have
let
some
me-
more, okay.
I'm just gonna finish the couple more that we actually have changes, and then we'll go through the dissolve one. Policy 30 is the sustainable energy policy. And actually, I thought that was a well-written policy, so the only thing I really did was clarify, under section 3B, It said the RMLD will review the power supply portfolio from time to time with the intention of meeting specific sustainability target percentages. That didn't change. It said that RMLD, where is the old one? Sorry, right here, one second. The RMLD, specifically, the RMLD will strive to reach 15% by June 30th, 2013, 20% by 2020, and 25% by 2025. And the only sentence I changed was the RMLD met 16% sustainability by 2017, will strive to meet 20% by 2020, and 25% by 2025. So I really only changed a couple of words in there, just to identify what we had done, and then continue on with the goals that we had.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
So under policy elements, is battery storage considered part of that? Or maybe it's covered there underneath it. We've just done some recent area work there.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, that's, yeah, that's the question.
Just to get answers.
Oh, you want to get the answers too?
That was rhetorical.
I should have added that, correct?
It could qualify as sustainable, but battery storage is not considered a renewable.
Right, but
Because
it's,
it doesn't generate power. It
Yeah.
stores it and releases it.
that's, well, that's the tricky part of the
Which
language.
makes it
It
actually
says-
more valuable.
It says
Doesn't it?
sustainable generating sources. So it's not really generating, it's just holding until it's cheaper. So,
Which is better, but just say, no, I understand.
Better but different. Do you have any more questions now? Did you get your answer?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
it's a good question, it's hard to,
Yeah, no, I thought Jane's answer was.
Yeah.
I have a question about this policy. So this is the board setting policy, right, on this topic? That's what this amounts to.
the existing one was
Yeah.
what got set, correct?
And the board is saying that we want RMLD to strive to reach. Strive to just means, well, I tried, but I couldn't, or I strive, but we're just, that we're just directing the department to strive. We're not directing that this will be what we're doing. So I would suggest that we make the language more concrete, that this is what we would like to see happening. These numbers aren't that ridiculous. We have some light plants that are seeking 100% sustainability by various means, including massive installation of solar batteries and purchasing of wind RECs from other parts of the country. So these numbers are pretty modest, and we're only saying we're going to strive. So I would propose
What are you saying? You
that we-
want to say that we
that
require?
it is the goal of the Board of Commissioners to reach these numbers, which are actually also pretty low. And I'm wondering what other light departments' goals are. I know there's a couple of outliers, and we don't need to mention Hingham or Concord,
Right.
which I didn't just mention. Well, they are outliers. They are outliers who have set 100%. So, but what are others doing, and how does this fit in?
Well, if you're going to change it, I would suggest you keep the word strive.
Yep.
And maybe increase the numbers if you'd like. But the word strive says to me, don't go out and buy something, Colleen, that costs a real lot of money. Jane's group does a really good job in, in low risk, sustainable energy that's low risk and a very competitive price. And, it's like, for example, the solar. I mean, the state's not subsidizing anymore, so solar goes up. Even though some of the solar panel costs have come down, it's still more expensive. So renewable, sustainable energy is still quite more expensive. So if you're telling me to make it happen, you have to understand that I have to make it happen. And the part about the low risk and things like that will take less of a weight than making the goal. So when you say strive, Jane looks at almost everything that comes down the pike and makes sure that it fits into our portfolio and keeps our rates competitive. So I like the word strive.
Okay. I like what you said
but-
before about increasing what we're striving for then. 'Cause
Did I say that?
You did.
No.
And you said the goal had been 15, and we already met 16 by 2017, so we're already beating the previous goal.
No, not really.
It would have been 16 and 16, 17 and 17, 18 and 18, because it was 20 to 20.
So for every calendar year number, we hit that number. So in 2050, we're at 50%. I don't know. What does anybody else think? Does anybody else want to set goals or tweak the language?
Well, even the 16% that we met in 2017, that's not including the second community solar. And, you know what I mean? So we're still,
So we'll go higher than
we're
that?
still going higher, yes. We're still trying to meet 2020. But again, we do go out of our way to try to select projects that will stay within our competitive boundaries, because renewables and sustainable power is more expensive. I'd love to get into this offshore wind. That would be something nice to add to our portfolio. That's coming down the pike. So, you know, we're always looking at it, so I know we'll achieve the numbers. I just think we should be careful. I mean, the whole purpose of us, you know, talking to the state about, you know, you will do this, is
Okay.
that it's very expensive.
Okay, so leaving aside, so strive, leave it in there. This definition, does that definition pertain even if we've sold the RECs?
Sustainable.
I mean, are we still calling it a sustainable generating source, even if we've sold, and that it's part of our 16% or our 20%, even if we have sold the RECs?
Well, because,
Because that's actually, there's a legal definition in there, which came up a couple meetings ago. I mean, if there's any uncertainty, we could always, like, maybe table this one until the next meeting until we have clarity on that. I wouldn't, there's no need to rush it tonight,
I agree.
you know?
well, I think that the basis of the policy is that we're striving for renewable sustainability, right? But the other half of the policy also says that we have the option of selling the RECs. We don't always sell all the
Right.
RECs. So
Right. So,
if we weren't to sell the RECs, you could keep the word renewable, and if not, I mean, I feel like we're still meeting the policy. If you want to wait and make a change,
maybe just, I still, and I know there's been confusion over the years over what these claims or statements mean when we say we're 16%, fill in the blank, green, sustainable, renewable, and then I have other people telling me, well, when you sell RECs, you can't say that anymore. And that's fine. If it's the policy to sell RECs and we can't say that we have 16% or whatever, then fine, then that's the policy that we've set, but we should be clear about what these things mean, is all. And so I guess I just want to know what the terms mean and whether we can still say 17% or 16% right now, based on what else we're doing with our RECs.
well, what I'm hearing, and because we talked about this last time,
Yep.
John wasn't here again, and John went through the whole rec thing before I got
Right.
here.
You were
It's-
here, right?
I was here too.
It sounds
Yeah.
like the board probably would like to have a discussion about what do we want to do at RMLD that's renewable?
Right.
And we're back to the rec, selling the rec or not selling the rec. And that's a big, huge discussion that happened before I got here. And I just feel like John and maybe Jane, people that were here during that, so we can go back through what was discussed, what was the pros and cons, and what do we really want to do. Maybe it's 15% sustainable, 2% renewable. You know what I mean? Maybe you give me two goals so that we're moving up
Right,
on
we
this
have to
side,
define,
and we're
we have to
moving
define
up
the
on this
terms.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean to reopen that. It's just that if we're coming out and saying that right now we're at 16% sustainability, I want to know that that statement comports with what we're actually doing with RECs. So if from whatever legal policy definitions there are that govern this space, that these statements are, you know, that they're, what's the word I'm looking for? That they can
Generally accepted.
They can be backed up with
Yeah, yeah.
what we're doing. That's all I'm saying. I just want to know that, and I think we all would want to know, and we don't. And I mentioned before that there are outside organizations looking, you know, appropriately at sort of accountability at light departments about how they explain these things, and so I think we should be careful about the statements we make, so that we're sure that these statements that we're making are supportable
Right.
by the totality of what we do. And maybe they are and maybe they aren't. I'm sure they are. I don't really doubt that they are. I just want to understand these different terms, and I want to understand what it means when you sell RECs. Does that mean you can't say it's 16% sustainable anymore? I should know the answer to this question. I should understand this better than I do.
Yeah.
And I think we all should, and so I think that's why maybe we just table this one until we're sure of what these words mean and that the 16% means what we think it means. And then, if need be, we can tweak the policy.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, David. What does everybody else think on this?
Yeah, I would. I don't think it's critical for resolution tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it's critical for resolution. Philip, you're fine? What do you think
I
about
have no problem with the way it's written right now, but that's, if others have problems with the way it's being written,
Well, I guess.
I'm not going to fall on my sword.
Sure. Well, I guess
Yeah.
the key question is, does the statement RMLD met 16% sustainability by 2017? What does that mean? What is that referring to? And is that true? Would everybody agree with that statement based on our rec policy? Yes or no? And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Jane to come up and say a few words
Yes.
about this, please?
Yeah.
I think, just to add a little information to this, I think one of the reasons we did not call it a renewable policy is for the fact that within the context of the sustainability policy, it gives the discretion to the Board of Commissioners of what we want to do with the renewable energy certificates. So the board has that ability and can make the determination whether the light department should retire the RECs or to sell the RECs. And based on the discussion previously, over the last 6 years, by selling the RECs, the department has received $4.2 million. And we've taken that revenue and we've reduced the fuel cost. Right. So we're supporting these projects because without a qualified buyer for these projects, these developers cannot go out and build these plants. Right. And so while we don't have a renewable portfolio standard, we are a very important cog in this wheel to get these projects to stay in place, to stay online, and to offset those fossil fuel generators because they're generating kilowatt hours. I agree with Mr. Talbot. We don't want to call them renewable, and I think we're trying to be very cautious about what we're saying. We want to be very candid to our customers. We're supporting projects that are that generate power through hydro, solar, wind, etc. However, we are selling the RECs to offset the cost of that power because there's a premium associated for that, and we do not fall under a renewable portfolio standard. So again, it's significant dollars. We do support these projects, and I agree with Mr. Talbot. We don't want to call them renewable when we're selling the RECs, but they are sustainable, and I think that was the gist of how we structured that, and we do give the board the discretion to update that policy if it is the will of the board for us to retire those RECs, then we would retire them and we'd be able to call them renewable. And so that's where the flexibility comes in. At the time, it was thought that because we don't fall under a renewable portfolio standard, that we should sell them to offset the cost, and that goes directly to our consumers in a lower fuel charge. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the background of that. If down the road, municipalities are required to do this, again, that's the beauty of having local control versus being regulated by the state. You people represent our customers, and as a representative of that, you would do what's in the customer's best interest or their wishes.
So the key word difference here is sustainable versus renewable.
Correct.
If we didn't sell the RECs, we could say this was renewable. Since we did, we can only say it's sustainable.
Correct.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Then we're saying here that the definition we use to define what we're talking about, that the MGL 25A, blah, 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 states that a, quote, renewable energy generating source is one which, blah, 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 blah. So that we're falling on a definition for our sustainability policy that uses the word renewable. So it says that right here. So again, it just seems confusing to me. I guess I would like to see this language run by maybe a third party like the DOER or whatever to see if this language, if you haven't already, kind of passes muster And I personally find it a little bit, I don't mean to be critical, but it sounds a little misleading to say, hey, we have 16% sustainable. And the average person thinks, oh, you have 16%, you're saying, but you can't call it renewable. So, well, what are you talking about? I just find the words and the meaning of this to be murky, and that I would like it to be reviewed, I guess, by DOER or similar to give us a little bit of extra perspective on what this language means. Because I don't want to go out saying we have 17% sustainable and it falls back on a definition of renewable, but we can't call it renewable.
Yeah, I think you explained it well, and you, Dave, I think you're making a good point. I think maybe we should put this one to the side unless there's any other, what, Phil and
Then we could,
I think we should
Yeah, I mean, I don't-
heed Dave's caution and try to get the wording so we all feel comfortable about it.
I mean,
Okay with that?
okay, well, thank you. I mean, we used to have a policy committee, and I think it's good to do these at the full board meeting, and I don't think we've had a chance to really look at this in public session before today,
Yeah.
right? So why not, we have a couple questions, let's put it to the side, and
Yeah, especially with so much scrutiny in this area, as you've mentioned earlier.
there will be scrutiny,
So
I
we
know
wanna
there
make sure
will be.
whatever we're saying, we
and
can stand behind.
We're going to get ahead of anything like that will happen,
I agree, we should,
know?
we should look at the definition as it's written here, because Jane is correct, and we
I know-
don't
and I-
sell all
She
of the
described it,
recs.
yeah.
So that's why I said before, maybe we should have some language in there that says either you set goals for sustainable and renewable, or the definition of sustainable
clearly
as we're
define.
using.
Right.
Yeah.
And just say, here's your goals, because, again, if you want it to be renewable,
Right.
we have to discuss the impact.
Yeah.
And the impact to the being the cog.
And-
But we
Yeah,
can
we've
clearly
had-
say renewable or whatever maybe the real, true definition is. I thought it was sustainable, but
Yeah.
this law is saying that it's, a sustainable is renewable, so it is a little bit confused.
I mean, and none of this is to say that, you guys are doing a great job, and Jane, you've done a lot of hard work citing stuff, and I think the whole policy of this area is a little nutty, and it puts us in a bind. You can be out there helping people with big roofs get big projects going, and yet these instruments are out there, and it creates political problems because then people say, oh, we're leaving money on the table, we should sell the recs, and I get that. I just think
Yeah.
the policy above us is a little crazy, and it puts us in this situation, but let's just.
Right. And
take
all
it
Jane
out.
did was take action on the requirement of the board. I mean, the board
Correct.
told you
That
to
was
sell the
the
recs,
direction.
so.
Yep.
Yeah,
So, okay.
so put it
Yep.
to the side, is that all right?
Yeah, I think we should.
Not vote on it
I
then?
think we got consensus there.
Okay.
Yeah, just one,
Yep.
it's minor, but I guess it's more just how we track all this stuff. The policy B and F, there's at least a soft commitment to do some reporting back. I don't know how we need to think about that. I mean, I certainly won't remember it. I don't know what the process is.
Table 5 in the purchase power
Yeah,
summary.
Yeah,
Oh, that-
right,
So we do
Yeah,
report.
correct.
there,
Yep.
it's
Okay.
part of the report.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well,
Okay,
We'll bring
we'll
it
move
back
that one to the
next
side.
Yep.
Be good to have John for that discussion, too. We get to it.
and then we have a few to dissolve or request to dissolve. The first one is policy number 10, which is the RMLD credit card / petty cash. The reason why I'm requesting that to be dissolved is we spoke last time, the P card, the credit card actually is a town policy, so we follow the town policy.
Okay.
So realistically, this would be dissolved, and Wendy would have an operating procedure on using the P card within the RMLD and what the process is for petty cash. But the policy actually is with the town for the P card. So,
Okay. Okay. Any questions about that from anybody? So we're dissolving that policy.
yes.
Okay.
You want to make the motion for all
Yep,
three
why don't
at
we
one
make the
time?
motion? Yeah, I'll do all three of those, yeah.
What about the other two? What,
Are there others that you have to cover? Which one?
well, you got 24 and 28.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do those two.
You know, why we're,
So, 24 was probably a 1990s total quality management.
TQM,
It was a
sure.
type of
It's not really a policy, it's more like a job description.
Yeah, well, for here, it was a policy, and I think that maybe it became a policy because it was actually infused in some of the union contracts, and it was to get people that may have said, well, it's not my job to be part of a working group to put together things, or to, to analyze certain things that were outside of your scope of your job description. So it was a way to get companies to work together.
Sure.
And we still implement that, but TQM in itself, it's the policy talks about you will be, qualified as a TQM facilitator and coach, and we just don't do that. And it's not something that it's just out of date. If another type of program like that comes up, we'll be sure to mention it, but we're using working groups and everybody's working together.
It's just not called TQM anymore, right?
Right.
It's
It's a
just
90s thing.
cross-divisional support,
Yeah.
I'm still,
continuous improvement, which we do. And
Yeah.
so it's,
I'm still amazed this policy is still around. This dates back not only to the previous administration, but the administration before that. It goes back to when
I see
Mr.
your
Rucker was the
initials
general
on it.
manager. Well, I want you to know the whole board went off and got TQM trained. We all went off in a session and got trained. I want you to know. Can't remember a damn thing from it today.
All right. There you go. Okay.
I think they call project team meetings now, but, it's.
Yeah.
It's really just getting people to work cross-divisionally, and, which everyone is doing an excellent job here on that, so.
Okay.
So I'm requesting that that one be dissolved. And then the last one is severance pay. And severance pay policy basically said that if RMLD ceases to do business because it's sold, acquired, merged, or bought out, then it would result in certain severance pays being paid out. So requesting to dissolve it.
On what reason?
For the reason that we won't be sold, acquired, or merged, or any of those things.
Okay.
All right, you
It's
make a
fine.
motion?
Yeah, I think we can make a motion. Any comments on that
I
before
guess
we?
the only, I don't know why, I guess the question is, would the employees be troubled to see that, I mean, effectively, we know the reasons behind what you said, but I'm just wondering if employees would view that as a takeaway of some sort, or, for something
Well,
having been.
it's not in their union contracts
Yeah.
per se,
That's
for,
really
based on
yeah.
that, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really what it's.
I don't even remember when this has got to be ancient, this policy, too. Because I don't remember even ever adopting this any of the time that I remember.
99.
99?
You were around then, Phil.
Yes, I was around in 1999. That is true. Well, I guess I must have voted for it then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move
All right.
that, move the board dissolve policy number 10, RMLD credit card / petty cash, policy number 24, total quality management, and policy 28, severance pay, on the recommendation of the general manager.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried 4-0-0. All right, moving back to Jane, Integrated Resources. Welcome back, Jane.
Thank you. Okay, I just have one community update. On Sunday, July 15th, the RMLD hosted a ride and drive event at the Wilmington's Farmers Market. Thanks to George for letting us use the parking lot there. We had 22 drivers that test drove vehicles. We had dealers from Mitsubishi, Chevrolet, Honda, and Smart. So we had 5 different vehicles that were available to drive. In addition to that, we had 9 EV owners who came with their own vehicles as ambassadors to answer questions to customers who potentially were interested in buying it, so they could ask people who actually own the cars. 8 of those were RMLD customers. The models of the ambassadors' cars were the Tesla 3, the Tesla X, the Nissan Leaf Generation 1, the Nissan Leaf Generation 2, the Chevy Bolt, and the Ford C-Max. So there was quite a variety of cars. a lot of people that were interested. We had the Mass Energy Alliance, who had a table and shared information about state and federal rebates, which was very helpful. And RMLD circulated and answered questions about the pilot programs, the vehicles, the time of use rate, and the residential rebate program. So I just wanted to give special thanks to the group that really was responsible for this event, and that was Raul Shaw, Ben Thaverge, Joyce Mulvaney, Katie Mahan, and Sue Mitchell. So they worked on setting up all the logistics, working with the dealerships, getting certificates of insurance. So it was really, really a great event. As an update to our RML EV pilot program, which Ben talked about last month, RMLD has processed a total of 15 rebates in the month of June and July. We had 7 rebates in June and 8 in July, for a total of $19,000. We've got $40,000 budgeted for the June through October timeframe, and our goal is 6 vehicles per month, and we've exceeded that in the first two months.
Yes, you have.
Okay,
Is
Mr.
there
Chairman?
any charge stations that we're sponsoring in the other towns? I know we have the one out here.
Yeah, we have some money in the capital program. We need to meet with the towns to figure out the right space to put those in. I am working with another commercial customer who's going to be putting in 7 charging stations. They're dual operating, so they're going to have 14 spots. So RMLD will own those stations. Again, that's more of a workplace charging station, but it will come out of the capital budget. And we're going to we're looking at the whole EV program and how we're going to develop a business model for that. So we want to strategically place them. We want to partner with the businesses and the communities so that people have access to these. So we're trying to get a business model together because you don't really want to place them randomly.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
George has some
yeah.
ideas.
Just one thing I want, and I'm going to maybe tack on to what Jane just said. I mean, this month I bought a hybrid vehicle. It's not a plug-in, so it doesn't qualify. And the number one reason is there's just not enough charging stations that are convenient to where I live and where I work.
That's why
know?
you bought a hybrid.
So I bought a hybrid.
It's one of
the
those
full.
catch-22s. It's
Yeah.
like, do you pull the charging stations and people will buy it, or do they buy the vehicles and you put the charging stations? So we're working through that process,
Yeah.
and people are very, very excited about these. The Honda Clarity was a really nice car. They had 2 of them there, one to kind of look through, and then people were test driving that. That's a plug-in hybrid. Pacifica is coming out with one of the SUV. The Mitsubishi is the first all-wheel drive vehicle. And if you look at the dealerships, they're all coming out with new models.
Yeah, I heard Volvo's coming out with a whole new
Audi's
line.
coming out with it. Yeah, so it's going to be very apparent. So it's important that we, strategically place these EVs throughout our community. Your point is well taken, Phil.
But the other thing too, Phil, I think the other driver is really,
No pun intended.
right, yeah.
You got me earlier, so I just got
Thank
to
you.
get you back.
I think the other issue is when they can basically give you, the charge can be equated to a full tank of gas kind of thing, so you get 400 or 500 miles. What was the maximum?
Right now, the Chevy Bolt does 240 approximately, so that whole range anxiety is going away the longer you can go on
That
these
doesn't
vehicles.
answer everything that you said, Phil, but if you
Yeah,
get-
well, the hybrid that I've got now is like 450 to 500 miles per gallon, per tank.
Yeah.
No, but
per tank,
what
which
I'm
is
saying
just
is if you
fantastic.
got that for a charge,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have minded buying a.
Right.
Right.
So that's the.
So it's getting
Well, I
close. It's
understand
halfway
that.
there, or more than halfway there.
Right, I understand that, but I think, it's just because there was no really convenient place to plug in, plug it in. There's no, I live in a condo, there's
So
no,
you can't plug in at home.
I can't plug it in home, that's not possible,
Right.
So,
Interesting.
I mean, I live next to the railroad station too, so it seems like a very logical place somewhere down at the railroad station.
Right.
The tricky
down
part
there.
with that, Phil, is if you park it at the railroad station, it's there all day,
Right.
and you're taking up a spot. And the thought process is people are topping off. So it's usually a 2 to 3 hour charge. They get a notification on their phone, and that's why workplace charging is so good. So you can just step out, move it, and another person can take the spot.
But yet I see a lot of them in parking garages now, too.
Correct,
Yeah.
because they're there for a certain
type of
amount of
situation.
time, and then,
Right,
you
but
know.
the train station, a lot of people there for 10 hours, and it's
Correct.
too long.
You know, yeah. So, again, it's destination charging, and so we're going to work it, and we're going to develop a business model, so we'll be presenting that to the board.
Exciting.
Great.
I'm here also to report on the May purchase power. May's kind of a shoulder month, so there's nothing really exciting. So what we did is we looked at May 2018, and we broke down our energy breakdown by resources. So as you can see in this pie chart here, we purchased 27.6% from the spot market, 37% was system contracts, hydro. Projects that were generated through hydro were 13.13. Wind was about 2.2, solar 164, and nuclear was a constant 17.69. Oil and gas is really, really low, 0.7, but it should be noted that, the spot market relies on some of that natural gas power. If we look at the next pie chart, that's looking at 2017. The nuclear is pretty comparable. In 2017, we actually had more hydro than we did in 2018, and again, that's based on the winter sometimes. If we have a rainy spring or a snowy winter, that translates into more generation from hydro, so you're kind of subject to what the weather generates in order for that hydro to flow. Wind was a little higher, actually. It was windier in 2017 just by a slight 0.29 more. Our solar is up in 18 because we've added more projects. Nuclear was consistent. There was more oil and natural gas from our Stony Brook and our Watson projects in 2017 than it was in 2018, and our spot market was around 14.7. Overall, the energy costs were pretty comparable. It was about 3.03 in 2017 and 3.3 in cents per kilowatt hour in 2018. So the next two graphs look at the fuel type and cost per kilowatt hour. As you can see, the nuclears have a very low fuel cost, and we get our 17.6. So the cost is the orange line, the straight line, and the bar graph indicates the percentage of the mix. As we had talked before, Colleen mentioned, we were talking about costs. The solar is at 7.1 cents. We're negotiating contracts now. That's up to probably over 17.5 cents because the SREC market is being phased out. The DOER is coming out with a smart market, and municipalities will have a limited access to that, basically in the residential market as well as the small commercial, but not large commercial. Wind was around 9.28 cents. Again, we're paying a little premium for that, but we try to do it in a cost-effective manner. In 2017, which is just the next one. I think I was talking 17 when the 18 slide is there, so I apologize. It's the same graph. It's just depicting cost and kilowatt hours, percentage overall mix. The wind in 2017 was about 928, and in 2018 it was 998. So that escalates every year. Solar in 2017 was 710, and in 2018 it was 7.32. Our system energy in 2017 was 4.9 cents, and in 2018 it was 4.15, so that went down a little. That concludes my report.
Excellent.
Mr.
Question?
Chairman,
Yes.
just one item. I noticed on project number 1 this month on my bill, it was a negative number.
Correct. Our Solar Choice Phase 1, when we were talking about that project, we said in the pro forma model that we had used was that the first 12 months of the project, we anticipated customers paying a charge of $5 per kilowatt month, and we anticipated a $2 to $4 credit in month 13. And because of the generation of the solar on that peak day in June and on transmission days, we were able to reduce the charge in January from $5, I believe, to $1.
$1, right.
And then the credit has come out to be $9. And so it's been a very successful program. It's fully subscribed. Both our Solar Choice 1 and our Solar Choice 2 programs are fully subscribed.
Yep.
And those customers that signed up will receive those benefits.
Okay.
Are you going to do a 3?
We're going to have a 3?
Well, the problem with 3 is now the state doesn't have the SREC.
Oh, right.
So the pro forma has changed considerably, where the costs are significantly higher. So we're going to have to look at, if we're going to do a Solar Choice 3, it would not be as attractive, but it's still doable. So we would have to look at for a space and whatnot. But there are some options that we're looking at, and we'll bring those forward as they come to fruition.
Great.
Good, good.
Good point, Phil. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for signing up for that too, Phil.
Yes, I'm in both of them.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like we have Wendy coming up. Is that true? Financial report. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I'd like to just start by saying that we're in the process of closing the fiscal year. It ended June 30. So right now, the accounting team, with the help of everyone in the department, is struggling in a good way to close the books, get everything in the right fiscal year, all the accruals.
Striving, not
Striving,
struggling.
there you go. Okay. You know why it's struggling? Because it's summer months and vendors are on vacation, and they don't want to submit all their invoices. That's why it's a struggle.
That's
But
right.
yes, striving is
Try
the
to
right
use
word.
euphemistic language,
Yeah.
wherever we can.
So that's what we are focusing on right now. Our audit is scheduled for the week of August 6th, a little bit earlier this year. So the goal is to have a clean audit, as always, and maybe enjoy some of the summer. So
Excellent.
Are we still on target for a close in December, January, right? That's still
yes,
the plan?
we are. Okay.
So you're going to do a half, so we're doing this,
Well,
and
so
then we go to a
I-
half year.
Well, right, we're going to do a half year, and we're not positive at this moment what the, I don't know what the language is, what the ruling is on whether we are going to be able to do a 6-month audit, or it will have to be an 18-month audit. So
Oh.
I spoke to the auditor today, and he said he has to research that and find out. In the real world, you could do either, or, in the real, I mean corporate world, but in the municipal world, you know,
have to go by the
your
law,
hands
or-
are a little bit tied.
Yeah.
So it's not a clear thing whether
Well,
you
so
do it?
he said he had to research it.
Okay.
There's definitely an answer, but he hasn't
Yeah.
had the chance to research it one way or the other. So he's not positive if.
So I imagine you're rooting for the 18-month one?
No,
No?
no.
You want the,
I don't want the 6 months because 18-month, there's just a lot of information.
okay.
You know what I mean? I prefer a nice, short, clean audit, and then
And then start fresh, yeah.
that's what I would prefer.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, so tonight I'm here to report on May 2018, 11 months of the fiscal year 18. So in front of you, you have a pie chart of cash, which is my favorite, of course. And as you can see, 33% of the cash is what's available for operations. So $15.5 million is available for operations, meaning money coming in and going out. And then depreciation, I'd just like to touch on that. $10.1 million were the beginning funds for all the construction projects. We have spent to date $5.8 million, leaving us with $4.3 million. The second slide is just a, once in a while I like to bring this up to show you where we're standing as far as how much money is coming in versus how much we're spending. So a good rule, a good measuring tool is using base revenue against operating expenses and comparing that. So the base revenue in comparison to the budget is actually down 1% as we predicted it may be. So we're down 1% on the base revenue as compared to the budget, but we have increased base revenue 1% based on our rates, of course. And with that being said, 2% increase in operating expenses, and that really tells a story because whatever we've increased in operating, we have also taken in money with regards to the effect of the 1% decrease. That was the plan, is my point. So we were planning to take in 2% of revenue, and we were planning to spend 2% extra. So due to the 1% decrease, it's not working out exactly as planned. And then, much to my surprise, we are still under budget. So, in May, we are under budget by $443,000, not a lot, but still under budget. So, we've been able to absorb some of the costs that we had to sustain in March due to the 3 storms. And I think a lot of that's due to, once again, not finding the right talent to bring in-house, as we've slotted for different positions. So a lot of us, well, most of us, our plates are full, so we're working very hard to pick up the slack, and of course we have contractors doing that as well. So
Struggling, you might even say.
nah, you know.
No.
Hey, you got me on that now, you see? So actual, we've spent $19.9 million, and we have budgeted $20.3 million. So we're about 2% under budget at this time. And that concludes my report.
I missed what you said, so.
Yep.
How many months of cash do we have now?
How many, so we're looking at about just about 2 months of operating cash.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I can't remember what it was, when you went through the audit, what did they recommend?
Not only the auditors, but even when we had some FERC training, industry standards is 3 to 4 months of operating cash is standard. Now, you know, some people may call that conservative, but, you know, when you are in a public light like we are, I think it's a responsible thing to do is to have a little bit of a reserve.
Yeah, no, I think it's very, very good, because
Yeah.
if revenues still stay flat or slightly declining, that
Right.
that adds
Yeah.
importance to having that extra cash.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay?
Wendy.
Thank you.
All right, Hamid is heading to the microphone. Welcome, Hamid.
Thank you. Nothing to approve tonight, mate?
Oh, yeah, we got 2 bids.
2 bids.
Gonna save some money.
All right, thank you. I'm here to report the engineering operations report for the month of May, the spendings. The first slide and the second slide, basically, you see the capital authorization projects. The second slide includes the routine capital constructions, which the total spendings for those projects that they were FY 18 projects in the month of May was $86,526. That would bring the year-to-date to $1,291,588. And the projects are going well. They're all done, basically, and making progress on those. The third slide, you see the facilities, IRD and IT, the other capital projects that were approved by the board. And you see the expenditures for those. And the total for the month of May overall was $817,986, which brings the year-to-date to $5,825,883. And we got the remaining balance from FY 18 budget, $1,859,638. So for the month of June, as Wendy mentioned, so we got lots of activity, so those numbers are going to go up, definitely. The next slide is routine maintenance. These are the maintenance activities that we've done on those categories. The transformer replacement, pole inspection, quarter inspection, manhole inspection, porcelain cutout inspections. Basically, they're all moving along, and we're making progress on those. We've done lots of transformer replacements this year as a part of the routine maintenance, and they're on target. The next slide shows the continuation of the routine maintenance, the tree trimming. In the month of May, we did 56 span, which brings the year-to-date to 973 spans. The substation maintenance, we did the infrared,
Excuse me, Hamid, is that 973, is that more than you expected?
No, that's right on target.
That's right, that's what you
on
expected.
target.
Okay.
Yes. We didn't go over budget on the
Okay.
tree trimming. The substation maintenance, the infrared scanning completed in the month of May, and it showed the hotspot at Station 3, which we took that out of service, and we fixed it before it reaches the premature failure. So it was fixed, and that was a good thing. The parks, they were all right. So all the other substations, we didn't have any hotspots. The underground subdivision upgrade, as you could see recently, we completed Crestwood State, Aspen Road, and Long Hill Lane, North Readings. They're all North Readings. And we got a number of projects that they are in progress. These are the ones that, you know, we have to uproot basically everything. All the underground facilities, the conduit, cable, transformers, the services, they're all going to be upgraded because of the age of the equipment, which they're on the verge of failure. So they're all taken care of. They're all in progress now. We have dedicated 2 crews and the contractor basically for this task in order to catch up. The next slide shows the double poles. As you know, the ownership is 50-50. We got 16,000 poles. The custodial for the Reading, half the Reading and North Reading is with RMLD. The other towns are with Verizon, as you all know. The next slide is my favorite. This shows the pole removal and transfer activities. In Linfield, we have 20 transfers and 1 pole butt that needs to be removed. North Reading, we had 10 transfers and 49 pole butts. In Reading, 27 transfers and 55 pole butts. In Wilmington, 36 transfers and 4 pole. There should be a lot of construction going on Woburn Street in Wilmington, and Main Street, and there are a number of areas that we are upgrading, setting poles, and which shows that well, we are taking care of the maintenance.
Well, I saw you on Oak Street. What was going on Oak Street? Was that a pole replacement?
That was
too?
a pole replacement.
Right at
yes.
the corner of Pine Ridge there.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That was a pole replacement. One of the old poles that needed to be upgraded.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
In the next slide, it's a reliability indices basically that you see. They're all in good shape. They're well below the national and regional averages, and their reliability is in good shape basically. It shows the health of the system. And the last slide shows the causes of outages in the month of May, up to month of May. Which you should see they're all going downward in comparison to the 5 years averages in all categories pretty much. So those maintenance plans, they're working, and we're going to continue working on them until, hopefully we can bring those even lower, those numbers.
That's good.
So
Yeah, it's great.
Good progress.
Yeah.
thank you. It's work in progress. That concludes my report for the month of May. So
You have some new technology that I don't know if everybody knows about. Can you just
Sure.
do a little highlight about this
Yeah.
exciting development?
Yeah, what we did, as we promised, we said we're going to have outage management system this year, so to be more prepared for the next storm season. So outage management system is completed. It's in production right now. In addition to that, we added 2 more modules. That one is dashboard, which basically it's collectively is bringing all the data from SCADA system with regards to reliability indices, the number of customers that are out, the number of customers that called, if there were any emergency or non-related outages that calls they came in that needs to be taken care of. All that information is being compiled into the dashboard. We got another module also they call it customer portal, which the people they can go on it's pretty soon it's going to be on the RMLD's website. The people can log in and they go into those portals and see the area outages. Basically, if somebody's out and they want to check to see what happened. Right there, once there's going to be a red button showing that there is an outage on that particular area, or they could see the polygon in a section of the town. And then once you click on it, it tells you what happened and how long, what is the estimated restoration time for the area outage. We also could
So that's
take-
coming to the website about
Yeah.
when? When would you expect that?
The way it works, basically, the metering AMI, they have the technology called last gasp, meaning as soon as the meter is out, so the meter just have enough energy to notify to the SCADA system or outage management system that, listen, I lost power. As soon as that signal is coming, so that's being mapped out, and that's how the customer portal, you could see that, the area outage, it's shaded, there's a polygon, around the area that includes the outage. So once they do that, so that's a trigger. So now we know exactly what happened and where it happened. So rather than sending the crews all over the town trying to look for that outage, now the crews, they're going to know exactly to where. For instance,
You already have that technology now.
right now we have that technology, yes. And I got another good news that, we pretty soon, we're going to have IVR. That's an interactive voice response that I like to invite people to join in the program. Pretty soon we're going to launch in a program that the people, they can pick and choose the method of communications when the outage happens, which could be the phone, email, or the text, or all three of them. So whatever bucket that they choose as a method of communications, as soon as the meter is out, before they call us, we're going to call them. We're going to let them know through that communication channel. You're out. Your estimated restoration time would be 45 minutes, an hour and a half, or to be determined. And for more information, you can go to the customer portal to see that, to track us there. That should cut down approximately 80% or 90% of the calls that they're coming into the...
Because you'll have already alerted somebody.
That's right. So that would give us more...
That's good if somebody's not even at home. They might be somewhere else
They
getting a
can
text.
log in.
And they're learning,
Yes.
okay, I don't have power at home,
That's
and
right.
I know it's going to be 45 minutes.
You could be in Florida, you can text you, or you can get an email, or you can go call, and then something happened, and then you can choose whether you want to call back when your power is restored.
Right.
So,
And when can they start signing up for that?
well, pretty soon. We are
it's not yet.
having,
Okay.
right now we picked a vendor that, we're going to, it's very reputable vendor. It's Centurion, IVR. We check their references. Everybody, basically, all the references, they were utilities. They gave them 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the campaign should start beginning in September.
September.
Yeah,
Right.
and we'll be notifying people via
Right.
various communications, a newsletter, press release.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Oh, yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
So that's the IVR, and we're going to start the campaign in September, so people can expect to get texts or emails and stuff probably before the winter or after the winter.
I'm hoping this thing we're launching for November. So, and every system as you install, you go through, I'm sure there are going to be some glitches that we have to add.
Testing and, yeah,
that's
right.
right. So that's what the goal is, and we're hoping that, by end of the year, if, to be on the
Okay, so if-
conservative side.
If that's the IVR, backing up to what Dave said,
Right.
right now, we have the polygon on
Right.
the map. We
Yeah.
just launched our new website.
Right.
When can they see the polygon for the outages on the website?
That would be September, by September.
This
we should
fall,
have,
early
yes.
fall. Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
September, October side, we should have
Geez,
it.
lots of exciting
We go
technology.
through lots and lots of testing. You
Yeah.
see, we don't want to just put it out there until we test. Right now, that system just was installed.
Mm-hmm.
Our personnel, they're being trained on it. So I'm sure every new system, it takes a while for the people to get adjusted to it, to learn, and, to make sure if there are any bugs, to remove those bugs. Nothing 100% goes smooth. But luckily, we are almost 90% there. So another 10%, we want to make sure everything is checked before we put it out on the website.
website.
But it's coming.
That's
So
great.
definitely this winter, Hopefully, we're not going to have, many storms.
Right.
But
Hopefully
if
you don't
we
need the system
do-
at all.
That's right.
Just in case.
But if we do now, we're going to be able to give you more information about the outages, the conditions, the estimated restoration time, and it's good for the people to know that well.
That's great. You want to buy some stuff to me, it looks like here?
Yes, sir.
You want the motion first?
A motion on what?
Well, you got the motion. You can just a motion here. You want the motion, then you can explain what we're buying.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the way
Okay.
we do it, right, Phil?
Right, yep.
Okay.
Okay. Move that IFP 2018-42 for S&C SCADA-mate CX switches be awarded to E.L. Flowers and Associates on the recommendation of the general manager and pursuant to Chapter 164, Section 56D, at a unit price of $26,990 per switch in the first year. Switches purchased in years 2 through 5 are subject to a price escalation of not more than 2.5% per year. Software licenses are $2,500 per switch with no acceleration.
Okay, second?
Second?
All right. Discussion, we'll get some background.
Sure, yeah. These are the SCADA-made switches, smart switches that is complementing basically our SCADA system. That it's a 10 to 15-year program that we're going to install like about 100 of these switches. These are smart switches. What it does, whenever there's a fault, the two switches before and after, they talk, they open up, and everything is restored to the open point within the seconds, within 5 to 10 seconds. And that would be isolated to the faulted section. So we're going to send crews right exactly to where the fault was. These are those type of switches.
So this kind of ties to what you were talking about with the
Exactly.
technology. This is,
It's
it
like
feeds right
if
in.
you look at the big, it's like a big puzzle. This technology. Every year we try to do, 4 or 5, depending on what the budget permits, anywhere between 4 to 8. Okay, so whatever we can purchase. So it could be pushed out from 15-year to 20-year maybe, but right now the target is 15-year. In order to complete this program, every year we're going to do little. And these switches, they're going to go on the key locations on the feeders that we know where is the best location to put them so they can bring the information from the field back that ties into the outage management system and the SCADA system.
Right.
So to cut the long story short, there was this was a bid. There was a bid that a few people, they showed interest, and only one bidder decided to put in. The one pulled out the last minute. So overall, the price is very good. It's overall, it's going to be a good. The price is very, very good compared to the previous bids that we had, like about anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000 less.
Than the last time we bought them.
Yes.
Well, that's great.
So.
All right. Any discussion on the board? All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries 4-0-0.
Okay.
Okay, yep, Phil?
Move that IFP 2018-43 for S&C Interrupters, Pulse Chasers, say that fast several times, be awarded to E.L. Flowers and Associate on the recommendation of the general manager and pursuant to Chapter 164, Section 56D, at a unit price of $34,560 per pulse closer in the first year. Pulse closures purchased in years 2 through 5 are subject to the price escalation of not more than 2.5% per year. Software licenses are $2,500 per pulse closer with no escalation.
Okay, second?
Second?
Okay, discussion.
These are pretty much the same the type of switches, except they're a little bit more advanced, that could bring more information back. So the same deal,
They're more advanced than the ones we just bought?
That's right. They're more advanced. They're two different applications.
Okay.
One, the previous ones, they just go in specific locations. These are, they go into right in the middle of every feeder, which is going to be able to bring more information about the feeder, like the status and, the health of the system. So basically, the same thing. This is 5 years. The escalation cannot be more than 2.5% every year because the price of the metal and everything else is going up. So the maximum they can add is 2.5%, the same thing. And the vendor is going to get it.
Okay, great. Any discussion? All right. All right, all those in favor? Motion carries 400.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hamid. Anything else?
Nothing else. That's it for me.
Okay,
Yes.
great. All right, our board meetings. It looks like our next, well, we're going to have a NEPA conference.
Yep.
So that's coming up the end of next month. And then our next board meeting is September 21.
September 20th.
I have September 21 here.
I got September 20 here.
September 20th.
It's the 20th.
Yeah.
You're right.
Unless you want it Friday night, would you rather Friday night?
No, I think the 20th is good. Let's go. Let's go with the 20th.
I like the 20th.
September 20th. And the CAB, that's September 19th. We have Dave Talbot on that one. And anything else?
No.
On meetings? Okay.
All right.
So executive session?
You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Move that the board go into executive session to consider the purchase of real estate and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and return to regular session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
All those, second? All
Mr.
those in
Roll
favor?
call.
Yeah, roll
Mr.
call.
Rock, aye.
Stansy, aye. Talbot, aye. We heard it. All right.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.